Shohei is now building an impressive legacy in LA. We know that. He continues to amaze fans and torment opponents. But behind the scenes, his teammates tell us of his secret identity.
Shohei's really funny. He's always trying to make jokes to have a good time with his teammates.
Really just how funny he is, man, with us. I mean, he's laughing, joking.
He'll crack a little joke in our hitters meetings and you kind of don't expect it. And, you know, he's a really funny guy.
Well, I think the world is starting to understand that he's a practical joker. They put my car! Shohei got me. Shohei's behind this?
Yes.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Okay. Now tie.
He has become more free and easy, more jovial, and I think he's starting to become the person who he really intrinsically is.
Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
The thing I really like the most that I'm very impressed is how Shohei handles all the things going on around him, and he's so consistent every day with being the same person.
And Ohtani torches one, tosses the bat, and watches it fly!
Every single night he does something that I've never seen before. Even when he gets out, he's hitting an hour, 120 miles an hour, and you're kind of like, did I just see that right? It's truly kind of a blessing to be his teammate.
He is actually changing the game of baseball. He never ceases to amaze. It's incredible. It really is.
It's pretty amazing, right? Shohei Ohtani, just to give you an idea of how amazingly talented he is, if you already didn't know, his numbers when he is a pitcher, it really isn't a drop-off, which is kind of nuts, right? I mean, it just gives you a feel for, everyone says, well, he shouldn't pitch, it affects his hitting. Well, it doesn't. That's kind of the idea. But now, though, EK, I'm curious, the Dodgers and how they deal with him going forward, right? Obviously, they're ramping him up slowly here, but there are other factors. Even though we showed you his production is still good, there are other things to take into consideration now the rest of the year when he pitches.
Well, it's obviously the offense and how does that impact it. The starting so far and then hitting right when he comes off the mound, I mean, it's only a small sample size. It's been 4 at-bats. He struck out 4 times. He didn't do this in Anaheim. It wasn't, I mean, he did it a handful of times. I think there were probably 7 or 11 at-bats in his career. You know, he wasn't a leadoff hitter. So that's something that's going to be, it's going to be talked about, right? I don't know that it's going to be addressed. The only way anything gets addressed is if Shohei says, I'm not so sure I want to do this. But it will absolutely be talked about it. Look, Shohei can do what he wants to do, right? Because when you are that good, and look at, he had his 3rd start the other day, and I was talking about him coming back, and it's like climbing a ladder. You can't expect him to go all the way to the top in 2 or 3 starts. Right. That 3rd start the other day when he threw 100, my man went up about 6 steps, right? So, look, he can do whatever he wants to do. It's for us to talk about, but, you know, the reality is 4 strikeouts and 4 at-bats.
You know, there's a couple components. First of all, that 3rd start, seeing him touch triple digits and really having the secondary stuff to pair, it's like, it might be scary hours if they're able to build him up. The other component is him leading off, especially at home. He might have a long inning one time. He might throw 25 to 30 pitches, and all of a sudden you don't have a breath. Maybe they might discuss moving him down in the lineup, maybe the 2nd or 3rd, just to be able to get some water, get under you. Listen, I'm not comparing myself to Shohei Ohtani at all, but I'm a National League guy, so I know how it is to hit, come off the field, and then lead off an inning, or vice versa. I had that one mistake where I ran a triple, and all of a sudden I couldn't even get the sign because I was so gassed on the mound. Now, Shohei is a unicorn. He's outstanding. He's been doing it. He wants to be that two-way guy because in the end, it's legacy for him. He wants to be remembered as the best baseball player of all time, and he continues to trend that way as long as he stays healthy. Now, the problem is you cannot lose him. There's no such thing as a 3rd Tommy John, and that's the scary part about it. So you're seeing his velocity uptick right now. You're excited about that, but Dave Roberts loses him not only on the mound and in the lineup. I don't believe they're the best team in the National League. It's going to be very difficult for them to repeat again if they lose him. So they're going to slow play him very much.
Yeah. I guess I'd say this too. Has there been anything that he's been asked to do that he can't do?
He can do it all.
No. Right? That's the scary thing. Is like we can sit here and say, well, this might not work.
He's not running as much. And so I think he's starting to learn how to conserve his energy as well. You know what I mean? Because that's tough, man, to be able, I don't care how athletic, how in shape you are. I know he lives and breathes and sleeps baseball, but we have to have a perspective for him, even though his bar is very high.
Running game has been impacted. Jeez.
Just a couple weeks ago. But spoiler alert, Pete Alonso is not going to be on my list right now for top 3 NL MVP picks at the halfway mark of the season. We are halfway through, and now we're going to do top 3 NL MVP picks. And we're going to start with a name that is going to surprise everyone. And people are probably going to disagree with it, but I'm going to start at number 3 with Ronald Acuna Jr., who came back in May. He's been back for just about a month, a little over a month. And you might say, well, how can you have him here if he's only been back a month? And that's a great point. But he's hitting .361 with a 1.109 OPS since his return in May. He's got 9 homers. He has now stolen a couple bases, which I'm excited to see because he came back and for a little bit he wasn't running. And I get that. Your second ACL surgery. But he's been back, and he's been back better than his MVP form. He's tearing the cover off the ball. So do I expect Ronald Acuna Jr. to, if the season ends right now, is he a top 3 NL MVP pick? No, because of sample size. But if he keeps putting these numbers up, if he hits well over 300, if he hits 330 on the year with 20-plus homers, if he can get to 30-plus homers. Right now he's on pace. He's at 9. He's on pace for 20, but he hasn't played much. He's played a little over a month of baseball. So let's say he gets to 30 home runs and steals 20 stolen bases, and he hits 340 on the year. You're telling me he might not be in that MVP conversation? Absolutely, he would be. So give me Ronald Acuna Jr., who has come back from a second ACL surgery and been better than he has at any point in his career. Man, just as a baseball fan, it has been awesome to see Ronald Acuna Jr. Give me number 3 in the NL MVP power rankings for Ronald Acuna Jr. At number 2, let's move on to 2 and go with the Chicago Cubs 23-year-old phenom, Pete Crow Armstrong. PCA, he has 25 stolen bases and 21 home runs with an .836 OPS. He's hitting over 260 on the year. Again, we're at the halfway mark of the season, and PCA is on pace for 40 homers and 50 stolen bases. Those are MVP numbers if I've ever heard them. Now, if he can get that on-base percentage up, his on-base percentage is under 300 as we speak. Yes, it's 299, but just not a good on-base percentage. He's hitting over 260. His OPS is, again, 836, which is very good. But if he can get that on-base percentage up, if you can start turning some of those outs or punch outs into walks, man, your average just starts climbing. You see it time and time again. I played 5 years professionally. I did not walk a lot. Then I really worked on it. You start mixing in a couple walks instead of a couple outs. Next thing you know, your average does start creeping up. He's 23 years old. He's on pace for a 40-homer, 50 stolen base season. He's playing elite center field, gold glove center field, platinum glove center field. He's the best outfielder in the game of baseball. He goes and makes plays that everyone's not getting. He's making these plays standing up without having to dive. He's so much fun to watch in the outfield. Pete Crow Armstrong is a stud, and he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. He deserves to be the starter in the All-Star game. He's a freak. He's a freak of nature. Now, in his last month, it has been definitely going downhill. I need to see that turn around. This race would be much closer. In his last 30 games, he's hitting 219. His last 15, 218. In his last 7 games, he's hitting 185. So these numbers are where they are. Look, if you were to just fast forward and tell Cubs fans, okay, look, in his first full season at 23 years old, Pete Crow Armstrong is going to go 2020 and hit 250, you'd be like, oh my God, sign me up. He's already over 2020. He could steal 5 more bases and hit 9 homers over the course of the entire rest of the season, another half of the season, and he's a 30-30 player at 23 years old playing in a platinum gold glove center field. You would take that 10 times out of 10. He's better than that. He's going to put up better numbers than that. This, no matter what happens from here on out, has been a smashing success for PCA this year with the Chicago Cubs. And as we sit right now, at the beginning of July, he's an MVP candidate for sure. Let's move on to number 1. My number 1 NL MVP pick right now is Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani leads the National League in OPS. He leads the National League in home runs and slugging percentage. 29 homers. Again, right at the halfway mark. He's on pace for 60 home runs. He's on pace for 60 home runs. He's already the MLB, the MVP frontrunner with the bat. With just hitting, Shohei Ohtani right now is the MVP frontrunner in the National League. Now, add back that he's pitching and that he's being very effective on the mound. Anything you get from him pitching, everyone is saying this, even on the Dodgers, anything you get from him on the mound is a plus. He doesn't add to a roster spot as a pitcher. You can have another pitcher on the roster because he's not listed as one. He doesn't take up a roster spot there. Everything you get from him on the mound is a plus. That goes for the Dodgers. That goes for what they need as a pitcher. That goes for Shohei Ohtani and his MVP case. Anything you get from him on the mound is a plus. So if you add that to already the MVP frontrunner and already the best player in the National League, if you add the fact that he's pitching and pitching well and pitching effectively, what do you have? Well, you have a player that's going to win his 3rd consecutive MVP award, his 4th MVP award. And then you start asking, is Shohei Ohtani just going to win the MVP award every year? And that answer is yes. And he should. Voter fatigue does become a thing, in my opinion. We've seen it multiple times in many sports. We've seen it in this sport with Mike Trout, I think. But does voter fatigue come into play when it comes to Shohei Ohtani? I don't think so. He's just better than everyone. And it really, the question, you can break away from that question of voter fatigue when you add the fact that he pitches. So if you just look at his offensive numbers, I could see voter fatigue coming into play when you say, okay, here he is again, DHing and putting up 60 homers and stealing a bunch of bases. I could see that like 2-3 years down the road. It's like, okay, well, wait a second. PCA is going 40-50 and hitting 280. Can you really tell me that 300 with an 1100 OPS and 60 homers is better than that? Like, you see, the conversation can come into play. But where it doesn't is if Shohei's hitting 290 to 300 with 60 homers and driving in a bunch of runs and still stealing 20 bases and also going on the mound and having a sub-3 ERA and striking out a bunch of people. And over the weekend, he had his 3rd start. He pitched 2 scoreless innings, and he threw the hardest pitch of his major league career at 101.7 miles an hour. Not only is he back on the mound, he's back and he's effective and he's doing things that just make you scratch your head of how can somebody do this after a 2nd elbow surgery? The stats are what they are. Look, 1 Tommy John surgery, the stats say you can come back from that. 2, the stats and the numbers say you are in trouble. None of those numbers have ever had to do with Shohei Ohtani until right now. And he once again is pushing the boundaries of what we believe an athlete is capable of doing in this sport. Do we believe an athlete is capable of being an elite hitter and an elite pitcher at this level at the same time? That answer was no. He's proven that wrong. That answer is now yes. Do we believe that a pitcher can come back from 2 elbow surgeries and be just as effective, if not more effective? That answer was no. That answer is not yet yes, right? He's still pitching 1 to 2 innings a start. But what he's doing that makes me believe that answer could be yes is throwing 102 miles an hour, and his breaking stuff looks disgusting. He's going to work back his stamina. He's going to work back to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 innings. And this stuff isn't just going to disappear. The stuff is there. That's the battle. Is your stuff going to be back? Is your command going to be back? Well, it looks like that answer is yes. So voter fatigue with Shohei Ohtani? I don't think so. This is the greatest player we've ever seen. And the reason he's the greatest player ever is because he's the best hitter in the National League right now. Best hitter in the National League. And oh, by the way, he's a very, very good pitcher. He's a Cy Young caliber pitcher. In the words of John Smoltz, this guy is one of the best pitchers in the game of baseball if all he were to do is focus on pitching. He's on pace for 60 homers and 20 stolen bases and an OPS over 1,000. And anything you get other than that, because those are MVP numbers, and right now in the National League, that would win you the NL MVP award. Anything you get on the mound is a bonus. And what we're getting right now is this guy going out there and throwing 102 miles an hour, punching out guys with nasty breaking pitches, and working his way back to throwing more and more innings. There's no voter fatigue with this guy. It's the greatest talent we've ever seen. It's the greatest baseball player, I think, ever. And I think people will continue to vote as such. There's no way around it when you realize he's doing both. Again, there is a way around it if he's just hitting and he's DHing. But there's not when he's doing that while he's pitching. Shohei Ohtani, number 1 right now in the NL MVP race because it's inevitable. Ronald Acuna Jr. at 3. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong at 2. And at number 1 in my NL MVP race is Shohei Ohtani.